Hi, Karen with you today. Thank you so much for joining me. I have a Scrap the Boys Challenge scrapbook layout for you today, and we are collaborating this month of March with the CSI Challenge blog as well. So I am super excited to be sharing my layout with you today, and I hope you get an opportunity to play alongside with us as well. The collection I'm using today is Simple Stories Vintage Lemon Twist, and I'll talk a little bit about what inspired me for this one in just a moment. I wanted to give you some information about how I'm putting my mixed media onto this one, and that cut file and all that sort of stuff I'll talk about as well. I have pre-gessoed my textured white cardstock. It is something I get myself organized with. I have one afternoon, I put all my white cardstock up on my dining room table and just get a whole heap pre-done for me for when inspiration strikes. So to do this one, I am using a Distress Oxide ink pad, and all I've done is scraped it across the page randomly and sprayed it with water. And then I've allowed it to sort of smush around the page. I lift it side to side and allow it to water wash across the page. It is such a simple technique. If you're relatively new to mixed media or you're a little bit nervous, this one really can't go wrong. You literally press down the ink pad across the page, add some water, bang, you've got some watercolor on your background, and you can leave it right there like that. It is absolutely perfect. It doesn't give, there's no structure to it, which is lovely, particularly because with my layout today, I am using quite a structured cut file. It's got some angles and things like that. So I really liked the idea of being quite, I guess, naturally forming, if you know what I mean, with that background. While that was drying, I have popped up and I have also backed my photo there. I've backed it with some of the patterned paper, and I've also popped it up on some foam as well. And I'm also popping up the cut file, the triangle banner pieces, up onto some foam as well. I really want this layout to have heaps of dimension. And one of the reasons for that is the ephemera pieces from the collection are quite thick. So there's lots and lots of dimension on this page. So while the ink was drying, I felt that the background needed a little bit more attention. So my first thought for that was, I know, I'll add some white splatters. I love adding splatters to my pages. They are pretty much on most pages. And I'm just using there my Dina Wakley white acrylic gloss spray there and allowing that to dry naturally. I really find using the Dina Wakley gloss spray, because it is actually an acrylic paint, it does tend to blister if you dry it with a heat gun. I was getting quite impatient towards the end, and I've just rolled over my paper towel there, and that was it for the white. You would have seen there I had a blob of black on my bench, and that was some black gesso. I was thinking I wanted to put some black splatters on the page because the collection has quite a little bit of black elements to it. So I wanted to give a little bit of a subtle black tone to that, particularly with that yellow patterned paper that I'm on that banner. But I felt that if I splattered that black, I really felt it was going to overpower the page. So I decided to use an ink pad instead, and I grabbed just one of my ready to go, one of my stamps from my stash. I don't even know how long I've had this one. It's been in my stash forever. It's just a little mark making sort of one there. And I've randomly stamped that over my mixed media as my yellow background as well. And I really like how that gave that little bit of a added depth to the page. And I'm just gluing down my banners now. Now, when you do this cut file, this triangle banners cut file, those banners are actually joined. I had cut them apart and then decided, no, you're crazy, put them back together. So I made sure when I was putting them together, they are now touching each one. So I've added them on as an angle to the page. And I think I've talked about it in previous videos or maybe some upcoming ones. Most of my layouts, always with the, even when I'm using a cut file and my ephemera, I like all my things to touch. I don't like all the distance that things have. It's quite, for some reason for me, it just doesn't sit right. So they've got to be touching in some way. Sometimes it's just a subtle way, like these banners are just sort of kissing on one end. They're not, not the whole thing's touching. So now I just went to town really and went through and embellished. Now I had a couple of ideas around this particular photo, which side of the page to sit this on. And I used what a lot of people do and looked at where little Jake, where he was looking. And because he's looking to, I guess, the right of this page, I wanted him to look, and he's sort of looking down a little bit as well. So I thought that way I would have him on the left-hand side and have that really big cluster there on the right-hand side as if he's sort of looking down into that area. So I have layered those pieces up. I've also put some of those things, that little banner piece there that says squeeze the day. I do pop that up on a little bit of foam as well. The tag piece, which is sitting at the back end there with the little motif, is also up on foam. So like I mentioned, everything is really dimensional for this particular page. And that's really drawn from, one, I like to mention, and two, the collection itself. Particularly, they have 3D stickers, and these foam thicker type sentiments and ephemera pieces are really quite thick. So I wanted to make sure that everything was sort of cohesively working together, if that makes sense. All right, so just to finish off the layout, I am just making sure where I want to put any last little bits. So I went with my large pieces first, and then I'm just finishing off adding on just those little bit of extra things. So a couple of little butterflies and hearts around the page. Now with my butterflies, I've absolutely popped those up, the wings section up. So I've only put glue on the middle section of the butterfly so I can tip those wings up. I love a fluttering butterfly on any page. And I really, really love how this one turned out. I thought the collection was absolutely perfect to go along with that little outfit that Jacob is wearing. It's this lovely little cute little outfit, although it's a lot of the bib is covering up. I do remember this one. It was a long time ago, but he's wearing a Peter Rabbit type outfit underneath all of that. And it just worked perfectly with these colors. I will quickly just talk about how I used the photo prompt to give my ideas today. So the photo prompt had sort of kite motifs in the background of those two little kids. So I'll pop that photo up again at the end. And that's where my banners came from. And the color tones came a little bit from that as well. But also the yellow was what really prompted me originally. One of the little kids in the photo is wearing gumboots or Wellingtons or whatever you want to call them in bright yellow. And I loved that. And that's where this absolutely grew from. One of the best things about the CSI Challenges is that they are so versatile. You can just take one little bit from the challenge and run with it. And that's what I did for this one. I will leave all the information about how to get to the blog, etc., to find out how you can enter this month. We have a section on Facebook as well to share all your layouts, and I've got some close-ups, etc., coming up as well. I just used my T-square ruler there because I realized that my title was a little crooked and it just wasn't looking right, even though I'm never big on having everything straight, but it needed to be straight for this one. So as always, I want to thank you so much for joining me today. I hope I've given you just a little bit of inspiration to play along with us this month, and I will see you next time. Bye for now.